Hello and welcome to another video lecture from MrWatkins.com. Mr. Watkins, and this particular video was going to be on the ABO blood group. And if you haven't seen the other videos, this would be one of the few of the videos you see towards the end of the series. If you don't know anything about the genetic crosses, this is not one to watch. You in particular should understand the three types of dominances before you work and do this video. So let's get started here. We've got the ABO blood group. And the ABO blood group has three different alleles. And the ABO blood group, and there's other blood groups such as the MN blood group, but there are other blood groups that all look at different antigens, different parts of the chemicals, the proteins, the antigens, the antibodies, and things that are in the bloodstream. The ABO blood group is looking at an immunoglobulin. It's a chunky, big, chunky protein. And if you don't get the right protein into your system, your body will actually attack that as being something foreign. But that's for another story. So let's kind of move on from here. Because this is looking at an immunoglobulin, we typically look at or write the alleles with a I, uppercase I. Now, let me kind of explain, and we're going to walk through this. It's not going to make sense, maybe not make sense till we get towards the end of it, but just let me walk through it here before you start questions. So stay with me here. There are three alleles. There is an IA, there is an IB, and then there's this lowercase I. These are the three alleles. If you have this particular allele, this allele says, I want you to express, it says express the A antigen. Express A. The B here says express B. They're both dominant alleles. And because we have three, we use these superscripts to help us, the superscripts here on this uppercase I, to help us see that we have these dominant alleles. And there's two of them here. And they are co-dominant to each other. But both of them are completely dominant to this lowercase I, the recessive. Now, here's the trick. The B allele says we're going to make B. The A allele says, no, I want you to make A. But the I, it says don't make anything. The ABO blood group really shouldn't be ABO. It's AB0, meaning nothing is made. So let's look at the phenotype here for each of these alleles. For the IA, we have A-type blood. For the IB, we have B-type blood. And then for the lowercase I, it's not supposed to really be O, but we call it O-type blood. It's 0, meaning no expression. What does this do for genotypes? Well, we've got three alleles. We have several genotypes. I'm going to write the genotypes out. IA, remember you have to have two alleles for a gene. IA, homozygous dominant for A. The phenotype for this particular combination on the genotype is going to be A-type blood. If I had IA, and remember it's dominant to the lowercase I, I'm going to have A-type blood here. The B's work the same way. Homozygous, B-type blood. Heterozygous, B-type blood. See, if someone who had B-type blood, because they're expressing B, that protein, the immunoglobulin B, and it gets put into someone who expresses A, the body of this individual is going to attack the one that had the B-type blood. It's going to attack that blood and form clots, and it'll probably end up killing them. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Now remember that A and B are dominant, and they can be co-dominant. So we also can have this scenario where we have our two alleles here. Remember, we have to superscript them because we have three different types of alleles for this particular gene. So this person is going to be type AB. I think in the movie Bruce Almighty, that was one of the key features in that movie at the end. He looks up and sees that he's got AB blood type. Now, there is another option. There's one last option. You could inherit recessive and be homozygous recessive, and that's where it's this O-type comes in. It's really 0, but that's the O type. So these are all the phenotypes that you could possibly have for this particular cross. And again, there's a problem when you start taking these blood types and you start mixing it in people that don't express that blood type. When your body, when a protein or something enters your body, your immune system either recognizes that as being self, belonging to you, or it not being belonging to you, and it's not self. And if it's not self, your body attacks it. It does not like it. So if an A person gives a B person blood, that B person is going to attack that blood. And the problem is that when it attacks it, it makes these clumps get stuck in the blood vessels. Basically, it ends up killing them. Since type O doesn't express any of the antibodies, any of this stuff, doesn't express, any of the protein, that means it can give blood to every one of these people. It's called the universal donor. But none of these people can give blood to the O. An O-type person, which is typically the least percentage of the population in any given population, the O-type person can only get O-type blood. Just like the A-type person can only get A blood or O, the B can only get B blood or O. And then the AB with certain things can get both A-B blood. Okay, so it may be the universal donor here for O-type, but it certainly cannot receive blood from the others. And if you are type O blood, blood banks actually tend to, when they find out and they know you're there, they tend to call on you quite often to get, to give blood as the protocol allows for you to do that. So let's look at a cross here of the ABO blood group real quick. So I'm going to take an example off of one of the worksheets so that we can have some very real things here. Let me grab the worksheet real quick so that you can look at it. All right, we've got a man named Fred who is heterozygous. Let me grab another paper here. Who is heterozygous for type A blood. Just put this in here so that you can see it. I knew it was going to be too small. All right, so Fred is heterozygous for type A blood, and he marries Sonia, who is type O. Fred and Sonia have asked you to determine what percentage of males would be O-type blood. Well, I'm going to change this a little bit. I don't want to worry about the males, so I just want to know what percentage are going to be O-type. So Fred, who is type A blood, so I'm going to write that up here at the top. Fred, he is type A blood, A-type, and he marries Sonia, who is type O. Okay, so they have come to you and said, hey, what percent offspring will we have that are going to be O-type? Well, step one is always going to be the parent's genotype. Now, the original problem, I think, asked for gender, and we'll deal with gender in another video. But Fred, he's A-type, and it doesn't say, oh, it does say, he says he's heterozygous for A-type. So if he's heterozygous, then that means he's going to have two different alleles. And since he is A-type and he's heterozygous, the only one he could be is this. This is the only A-type that has two different alleles. So this has got to be Fred. This is what you've got to be able to do in your head from scratch. Sonia is O-type, and since O is the recessive allele, this is the only genotype she could be. Now, for me, just looking at it, and for you at this point, you should be able to look at this and go, it's going to be 50%. But I'm going to walk through the rest of the problem, the way you should be working it, just so you know what's going on. The second step was to determine the gametes. So for Fred, he can make this gamete, right? That's one of the alleles. And he can make this gamete. That's another allele. For Sonia, she can only make this one type of gamete. She only has that to put into the egg that she forms. Now again, I always put my one on the left, the organism on the left, that becomes the rows for my square. I'm going to solve the problem is basically what I'm going to do. So IA and lowercase I, those are the gametes produced by Fred. Sonia only produces one, so I have that possibility, and then I also have this possibility. For here, this is A-type blood. It's 1 out of 2, or 50%. Here, this is O-type blood. Half of the time, 1 out of the 2 possible, that's 50%. That's the correct answer. You've got to watch on the ABO blood group using that lowercase I. It is very, very easy to get confused. And now one final comment here about gender. Any offspring, any of these, could either have been male or female. So that means that this O-type person could be male, could be female. In any given cross, the chances of getting a male will always be 50%. The chances of getting a female will always be 50%. It will not matter what has come before. So quite honestly, if I had an organism that was O-type, 50% chance here for it to be O, half of that 50 would be male, and half of that 50 would be female. So the chance of them getting a male with O-type blood is going to be 50% of 50%. In other words, 25%. That's all for this video. Thank you.